LD for interest payment to foreign portfolio investors and qualified foreign investors in respect of bonds issued by Indian companies and government securities. I further propose to extend the concessional rate of withholding of 5% under Section 194 LD to the interest payment made on the municipal bonds. In order to incentivize listing of bonds at IFSC exchange, I propose to further reduce the withholding rate from 5% to 4% on interest payment on the bonds listed on its exchanges. Startups. Startups have emerged as an engine of growth for our economy. Over the past year, our government has taken several measures to handhold them and support their growth. During their formative years, startups generally use Employee Stock Option Plan, the ESOP, to attract and retain highly talented employees. ESOP is a significant component of compensation for these employees. Currently, ESOPs are taxable as perquisites at the time of exercise. This leads to cash flow problem for the employees who do not sell the shares immediately and continue to hold the same for long term. In order to give a boost to the startup ecosystem, I propose to ease the burden of taxation on the employees by deferring the tax payment by 5 years or till they leave the company or when they sell their shares, whichever is the earliest. Further, an eligible startup having turnover of up to 25 crores is allowed a deduction of 100% of its profits for 3 consecutive assessment years out of 7 years. If the total turnover does not exceed 25 crore rupees. In order to extend this benefit to larger startups also, I propose to increase the turnover limit from existing 25 crores to 100 crores. Moreover, considering the fact that in the initial years, a startup may not have adequate profit to avail this deduction, I propose to extend the period of eligibility for claim of deduction from the existing 7 years to 10 years. So the corporate rate cut in September has led to a lot of cooperatives who are asking for level playing field. Cooperative societies play an extremely important role in our economy in facilitating access to credit, procurement of inputs, and marketing of products to their members. These cooperatives are currently taxed at the rate of 30% with surcharge and cess. As a major concession, and in order to bring parity between cooperative societies and corporates, I propose to provide an option to the cooperative societies to be taxed at 22% plus 10% surcharge and 4% cess with no exemption or deductions. Further, I also propose to exempt these cooperative societies from alternative minimum tax, the AMT, just like companies under the new tax regime are exempted from minimum and alternative tax, the MAT. MAT for corporate tax, corporates were removed, and similarly now AMT for the cooperatives is also being moved. Medium and small and micro enterprises, the MSMEs. Currently, businesses having turnover of more than 1 crore rupees are required to get their books of accounts audited by an accountant. In order to reduce the compliance burden on small retailers, traders, shopkeepers who comprise the MSME sector, I propose to raise by 5 times the turnover threshold for audit from the existing 1 crore to 5 crore. So up to 5 crore, there wouldn't be a requirement for auditing of their accounts. Further, in order to boost less cash economy, I propose that the increased limit shall apply only to those businesses which carry out less than 5% of their businesses and business transactions in cash. So we wish to move to greater digitization. Affordable housing. For realization of the goal of housing for all and affordable housing, in the last budget, I had announced an additional deduction of up to 1,50,000 rupees for interest paid on loans taken for the purchase of an affordable house. The deduction was allowed on housing loans sanctioned on or before 31st March 2020. In order to ensure that more persons avail this benefit and to further incentivize the affordable housing, I propose to extend the date of loan sanction for availing this additional deduction by 1 more year. Further, in order to boost the supply of affordable houses in the country, a tax holiday is provided on the profits earned by developers of affordable housing projects approved by 31st March 2020. In order to promote the affordable housing projects, I propose to extend the date of approval of affordable housing projects for availing the tax holiday by 1 more year again. I propose to extend the date of approval of affordable housing projects for availing this tax holiday by 1 more year. So next is the concession to real estate transactions. Currently, while taxing income from capital gains, business profits, and other sources in respect of transactions in real estate, if the consideration value is less than the circle rate by more than 5%, the difference is counted as income both in the hands of the purchaser and the seller. In order to minimize hardship in the real estate transaction and provide relief to the sector, I propose to increase the limit from 5% to 10%. Charity institutions. Acknowledging the important role played by the charitable institutions in the society, the income of these institutions is fully exempt from taxation. Further, donation made to these institutions are also allowed as deduction in computing taxable income of the donor. Currently, a taxpayer is required to fill the complete details of the in the donation done in the income tax return for availing deduction. In order to ease the process of claiming deduction for donation, it is proposed to pre-fill the donee's information in taxpayer's return on the basis of information of donations furnished by the donee. This would result in hassle-free claim of deduction for the donation made by the taxpayer. Further, in order to claim the tax exemption, the charity institution had to be registered with the income tax department. In the past, the process of the registration was completely manual and scattered all over the country. In order to simplify the compliance for the new and existing charity institutions, I propose to make the process of registration completely electronic, under which a unique registration number shall be issued to all new and existing charity institutions. To facilitate the registration of the new charity institution, which is yet to start their charitable activities, I propose to allow them provisional registration of 3 years. Faceless appeals. Our government is committed to bringing in transformational changes so that maximum governance is provided with minimum government. In order to impart greater efficiency, transparency, and accountability to the assessment process, a new faceless assessment scheme has already been introduced. Currently, most of the functions of the income tax department, starting from the filing of return, processing of returns, issuance of refunds, and assessment, are performed in the electronic mode without any human interface. In order to take the reforms initiated by the department to the next level and to eliminate human interface, I propose to amend the Income Tax Act so as to enable faceless appeal on the lines of faceless assessment. So faceless assessment was done, now faceless appeals will also be possible. Sir, Honorable Speaker, Vivad se Vishwas scheme. Vivad se Vishwas scheme. No dispute, but only trust scheme. If I can say it in English, no dispute, but trust scheme. Vivad se Vishwas scheme. Sir, in the past, our government has taken several measures to reduce tax litigations. In the last budget, Sabka Vishwas scheme was brought in to reduce litigation in indirect taxes. It resulted in settling over 1,89,000 cases. Currently, there are 4,83,000 direct tax cases. 4,83,000 direct tax cases pending in various appellate forums, Commissioner of Appeals, Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, High Court, Supreme Court, and so on. This year, I propose to bring a scheme similar to the indirect tax Sabka Vishwas scheme for reducing the litigation even in the direct taxes. Under the proposed Vivad se Vishwas scheme, a taxpayer would be required to pay only the amount of disputed tax and will get complete waiver of interest and penalty provided he pays by 31st March 2020.
5 ലക്ഷം വരെ നികുതിയില്ല. 7.5 ലക്ഷം വരെയുള്ളവർക്ക് 10% ആദായ നികുതി. അത്തരത്തിൽ ജനപ്രിയ പ്രഖ്യാപനങ്ങളുമായി നിർമ്മല സീതാരാമന്റെ രണ്ടാമത്തെ ബജറ്റ് ആദായ നികുതിയിൽ ഇളവുകൾ പ്രഖ്യാപിച്ചു എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട വാർത്ത ഈ മണിക്കൂറിൽ. 5 ലക്ഷം വരെ നികുതിയില്ല. 5 ലക്ഷം മുതൽ 7.5 ലക്ഷം രൂപ വരെ വരുമാനമുള്ളവർക്ക് ആദായ നികുതി 10% 7.5 ലക്ഷം മുതൽ 10 ലക്ഷം വരെ വരുമാനക്കാർക്ക് 15% മാത്രമാകും നികുതി. നിലവിൽ 5 ലക്ഷം മുതൽ 10 ലക്ഷം വരെയുള്ള വരുമാനക്കാർക്ക് 20% നികുതി. 10 ലക്ഷം മുതൽ 12.5 ലക്ഷം വരെ വരുമാനക്കാർക്ക് 20% നികുതിയും ഇത്തവണ പ്രഖ്യാപിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. 12.5 ലക്ഷം മുതൽ 15 ലക്ഷം വരെ നികുതി 25% 15 ലക്ഷത്തിന് മേൽ വരുമാനമുള്ളവർ 30% നികുതി നൽകേണ്ടി വരും. ഇത് തന്നെയാണ് ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട പ്രഖ്യാപനം ഈ ബജറ്റുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് നിർമ്മല സീതാരാമന്റെ ഭാഗത്ത് നിന്ന് വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്. കോൺഗ്രസ് നേതാവ് ശ്രീ സുരേഷ് ബാബു അദ്ദേഹം കോഴിക്കോട്ട് നിന്നും ഈ ചർച്ചയിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ശ്രീ സുരേഷ് ബാബു, ഒറ്റനോട്ടത്തിൽ ഈ ബജറ്റ്